All right, so this is vocab for week 19, so Tuesday time, week 19. As you can see on the screen, somebody wrote that there's no fancy slideshow or idiom because, well, now it's 5:38 a.m. on Tuesday, and I am not ready to go to work because I'm doing this instead because somebody, I don't know who, forgot to send me the new words. And so I'm not going to wait for a video. I'm just doing it. You can't stop me forever, Bowman. Also, you know that I made this because it's in a nice font and everything's all lined up and all of that. So these are the words. We have sardonic, sequester, obstruction, portray, portfolio, feckless, maneuver, formidable, quintessential, and anarchy. There's no real theme to any of these. That's what they are. So first we have sardonic, and it's an adjective, and the dictionary definition there says grimly mocking or cynical. And I added that it's kind of like it's sarcastic, but it's meaner. It's intended to be hurtful or derisive, like dismissing of another person, or just kind of mean. It's a step beyond sarcastic. You guys might call it salty. But a lot of the times with sardonic, there's also a smartness to it, a cleverness. It's that, cleverness that it's great to have and it makes you clever, but sometimes you're just mean. Like, yay, congratulations, you're smart and clever. You're still kind of a jerk. So this little cartoon I thought is a good example of it, because, he's asking why the long face, and, the blonde guy is making he's actually making a kind inquiry, but the gentleman on the right is like bummed out, like, oh, because heredity, I can't help it. I just got a long face. What are you trying to say, buddy? So it's a sardonic comic, because it's kind of mean, like his long face is being made fun of. Yeah, and there's evidence that when you explain jokes, they are not funny anymore. So we'll move on. Sequester is, you've probably heard it if you watch any TV that has law and lawyers and all of that, and juries, because they'll sequester juries. But sequester just means to isolate or hide away. So in a TV show or in real life, when they sequester a jury, what they do is they take a jury and they put them in a hotel and they cut them off, at night after court. And they cut them off from anyone or any media that might influence the way they feel about a case. When you are a member of a jury, you're instructed not to talk about and not to go out and research, but particularly with today's media, it's kind of impossible to know everything about every case. And so yeah, if it's like a death penalty or it's really high stakes case, they'll sequester a jury. An obstruction, I think we're all fairly familiar with that word, but that's a noun, and the verb is obstruct, and it just means something that blocks or closes up or prevents something from moving forward. So you can have an obstruction in your body, like Mr. Doherty. He saved somebody who had an obstruction in their throat by giving them the Heimlich maneuver and saved that person so they could breathe again. So that was awesome. We see obstructions all the time when they're doing road work on like Highway 111, and you're just trying to get to the movies, and there's 3 construction trucks, and then people don't know how to drive, and they don't know how to merge properly, and then you just can't get anywhere. So it's better to just stay in your house. All right, portray is to make an image or communicate the idea of a thing by way of almost any means. So to portray, it can be painted, it can be drawn, any of the material arts, but portray can also be, it's something that you say, it's a way that you act. It's basically it just means, like it says at the beginning of the definition, you're trying to communicate a certain idea about something. And it really can be done in all of the different ways that we can communicate. A portfolio. So this is a noun, and it means a collection of work by someone that represents the whole of their abilities. So we usually use it to talk about artists, whether that's, painters and sculptors, or writers and poets. Um, excuse me, but we also can use it in other situations. So if you're in my class, Miss Douglas's class, you have a portfolio in class. And that's just the manila folder where we keep all of your work for the semester. We usually clear them out after a semester. But that does represent all of the work that you have done that's not online in my class. And so it shows growth, but also, as I tell you, the main reason you make those is so that if there's ever a question about your grade, because I make a lot of mistakes, you can show me and we can fix the problem. The word has also extended, though, to refer to the actual physical case that artists will use to carry around their work. All right, feckless. So this is an adjective, and it means lacking initiative or strength of character or being irresponsible. So the other definitions I looked at, trying to find sort of an easier way to explain this, the key here, they focused on irresponsible. And then also the lacking initiative. So like just doing nothing. So this is a pretty rough insult, but again, it just means that you just don't do anything. You don't take any initiative. You don't really care. You're not thinking about how your actions affect other people. So yeah, that's feckless. Excuse me. So maneuver is one of those words that can fit into a lot of different categories, different parts of speech. So it is a verb, and it's a skillful movement or plan to get around something or toward something. But we can also use it as a noun to talk about those movements themselves, right? So military maneuvers are how troops move. Political maneuvers are the different plans that a campaign might take to win elections. And a football player maneuvers his way down a field, though that's using it again as a verb. But the different plays that are written out on that strange armband that the quarterback, I think it's the quarterback, has on his arm, those themselves could also be called maneuvers. So you can use it as a verb, but it also describes the thing you're doing when you use it as a verb. And it's got a funny spelling, so make sure you pay attention to that. All right, formidable. It's an adjective, and it means something that provokes fear or dread in something, looking at it or challenging it. Something formidable seems impossible to beat. It is strong or huge or scary, or maybe it's all of them. It can be a job or a situation or a person or nearly anything. So you oftentimes see the word formidable in front of the word adversary. So a formidable adversary is, that's the big boss at the end of a level. Like that's who you have to beat. Also, if you've ever done summer camp where they do like boot camp-esque style trainings and you have to climb the plank wall, that can seem quite formidable to people. Just a big giant wall in front of you that there's no grips or an escalator or anything. So yeah, formidable just means that it scares you because it looks impossible to overcome, whatever it is. Quintessential. So quintessential is an adjective representing the most perfect or typical example of a quality or a class or a person or whatever. So I was trying to think of a visual way to represent this to you, and Google image search is really like the best way I could think of it. So quintessential, if I went up to Google search and I typed in college girl, like look at all of them. They all kind of look the same. You know, headphones, scarf, glasses, backpack, holding some books. Same thing. It's a little more interesting when you do this college guy because you get a lot of plaid and flannel happening here. But yeah, I mean, like quintessential college guy, like that's what they look like. An even better example is this. If you look up doctor, oh, hello, yeah, they're all the same, right? Well, I mean, some of them are literally the same. Gosh, I hope we don't want that doctor. But yeah, lab coat, blue undershirt, stethoscope. So yeah, that's quintessential. The noun version of this that you may have seen before is this word, epitome. It's not epitome, not unless you live in places with British accents. It's epitome, and that's a noun. And so an epitome is something that represents all of the quintessential qualities of whatever that is. So quintessential, also think about the archetypes that we talked about. That's how you make an archetype, is you take all those quintessential qualities, right? And you know, the key there is the word in there, essential. Like you need to have them. So Odysseus is the quintessential hero because he's smart and he's brave and he's physically strong and physically attractive, and also has a flaw that makes him a quintessential tragic hero, or epic hero, excuse me. All right, anarchy. It's a noun, and it's a state of society without government or law, an absolute and total lack of rules. We often use it to describe a situation of chaos, confusion, and disorder, like Miss Douglas refuses to stay too long at pep rallies because they can often become total anarchy and she just can't even, right? It's a very popular concept with rebellious types, but is less attractive the more and more it's thought through. So Mr. Bowman and I have had conversations about this, about how we're frustrated by, during the last election, with the rise of Bernie Sanders and all of that, people also kind of going way far off the spectrum and saying that anarchy is the only solution. And like, not to be mean or rude or old folks judging y'all, but that's a really young person's idea that seems really cool when you're a teenager or like a sophomore in college, until you start to think about it and you think like, well, but I actually do want emergency rooms to treat me when I get hurt, and that wouldn't exist if there was anarchy. So just as a simple answer. So yes, when some people talk about anarchy, they are talking about the total abolition of government and law. But more often when we're talking about, you know, the chaos that can happen, you know, like when you're at a swimming pool and maybe somebody put their toddler in there sooner than they should have, and that kid doesn't know how to hold his business, and then the pool is suddenly contaminated, and then the anarchy that can ensue after that with everybody scrambling out of the pool. I don't know. I haven't had coffee yet. That was a terrible example, but yeah. Okay, so that's it. Those are the words for week 19. No idiom, and no academic word of the week. We're just going to have to present that to you in class yet again, because I'm doing this last minute. Why? Because I'm a clinch player. I come through. That's what I do. Have a good week, everybody.